Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast, where we're available for coaching interviews. It's me, your man, MG Marcas Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and LaQuan Jones. And happy Tuesday, fellas. Happy, leading up to championship week. And one of us gets to be excited about it. The other two of us get to, just sort of watch stress-free. We will have very low-stress weekends.
I will be stressed. I will be stressed this weekend. This is the only weekend I will find myself stressed because this robe that I'm wearing has been representation of how I've been feeling. So we're cozy. What? We're cool, calm, and collected.
Honestly, I really was trying to figure out where you were going with that. I'm like, what?
I'm drinking my green tea this morning, and we're just comfortable right now because honestly, the entire weekend I was just getting hate mail, like DMs, my friends, the group chats, even the group chat that we share with our fellow friends of the fantasy space. And I'm just like, why are you guys poking the bear, man? I'm sitting behind the glass window. I know. I'm sitting behind the glass window, just watching the chaos, watching the things come off the glass. I'm just eating my potato chips.
You do this all the time where you're like, why would everyone want to come at me? As if you don't come with a baseball bat and like slam it into it and then be like, well, why would anyone say something to me? No,
I didn't do anything. There's nothing on the internet. There's nothing in our group chats that I've said. I haven't said anything.
Here's the thing. You have created an energy towards you, right? Where like you spend the whole season throwing rocks at beehives. And then just because for like, on a random Sunday, you decide to not throw a rock at a beehive. Like the bees already see you coming. And they prepare themselves.
Like, the bees are still chasing me, but they'll be in Cancun. They'll be on their couch watching the Rams win another NFC championship on the road to the Super Bowl.
We'll get to that a little bit later in the week. We'll get to that later.
I'm not barking. I'm just saying.
We will get to that later in the week. We got plenty of stuff to talk about. We're going to wrap up the divisional weekend. We got plenty of news to dive into as well. And sort of like last week, most of the focus with the game recaps are going to be on the losing side just because, again, chance to sort of, put a bow on what's going on with those teams and what have you. But got to get started with some news because there has been a lot of coaching news since we last talked, since you guys last talked. You guys had a great conversation with Scott Porter last week, a.k.a. Jason Street from Friday Night Lights, also a noted Broncos fan, a huge Nebraska Cornhuskers fan, so we may try to get him back on either before or after the draft, kind of get his thoughts on that as well. I know he's a big fantasy guy, so thanks to Scott for coming in. We'll definitely catch up with him again in the near future. But, of course...
Don't forget Mayor Paul Rudolph
that's right.
on one of the most watched shows of the year, Georgia and Jenny. So shout out to Scott for that.
Shout out to Scott for that as well, for Georgia and Jenny, for sure. Check that out on Netflix, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so check it out on Netflix. Yeah. Some of the coaching moves as the carousel continues to spin. The Falcons have got their guy. It didn't take long for Kevin Stefanski to find a new job after he was let go by the Browns. He now lands in Atlanta as the head coach for the Falcons. So, LaQuan, I'll ask you this one because I think you were. I don't remember which one of you guys was bigger on Penix. Maybe it was you.
Not me.
I don't know. Was it? It was not you.
No, it was not.
Okay. So then I'll ask you, LaQuan. I mean, does this make you more or less interested in Michael Penix with Stefanski there?
Well, he tore his ACL. Let's start there. I mean, honestly, with Stefanski's coming in, it's not like he's going to be able to see his, young quarterback go out there and, light it up week one. I mean, honestly, the return date is like mid-August, maybe late August. So him tearing his ACL kind of throws things off track. So he's going to be looking at Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix in a sense where we're going to be expecting a QB-friendly type of offense where obviously you had the pieces there. We don't know if Pitts is staying or not, but him failing up, I like to call it because amazing hire, I would say, I guess, going from Cleveland to Atlanta with all these pieces around, we should expect at least the offense to be QB friendly and not too complicated for Penix when he does eventually come back as the starter.
So you said, falling up a little bit, right? And I guess on the surface, it seems that way, that he's falling up, but Florio, I look at this as he goes to a team. Now, granted, there's a much better cap situation right now in Atlanta than there is in Cleveland. But he goes to a place with a good defense, a really good running back, and huge questions at quarterback, and really not a lot in terms of pass catchers, especially with Kyle Pitts in free agency. Sounds sort of like Cleveland, a team with a good defense, pretty good running backs, huge questions at quarterback, and aside from like a rookie tight end who balled out, like no real pass catchers. So like maybe on the surface it feels like a step up, but I don't know. And this could really be a lateral move.
To further the comparison, right? You have a quote unquote young. I'm not calling Michael Penix young anymore. He's 26 years old. Like he's not young.
Young in the NFL.
Quote unquote young quarterback. And then you have a veteran who is earning a ton of money. And like it's very similar to Cleveland in that regard as well. On Michael Penix, though, I'm far from sold because, yeah, he's 26. We have no idea what he is in the NFL, right? This torn ACL was his third. Like, let's not forget about the two he suffered in college, plus all the other shoulder injuries and stuff. He has not shown that he could be durable at any level of his football playing career. Now, that's unfortunate, but it is something that you need to, that matters when you're breaking down, is Michael Penix Jr. the guy here? The other thing, and I know you look at their stats and it was one extra start for Penix, but their stats were very like Cousins had the slightly higher completion percentage, the slightly higher touchdown rate, the slightly higher interception rate. The success rate was slightly higher for Penix, but it's both were poor. Like the fact that neither, like he couldn't separate himself from what Kirk Cousins is at this point in his career really worries me. So I wouldn't be shocked if, like, maybe next year they can't get away from both of them, but I don't think either one. If I'm Stefanski, I'm not sure that he has to come in and make one of these two guys. Like, if he doesn't develop Penix, it's it for him. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he got a chance to bring in his own guy at some point.
I mean, I think that is clear, right? I'm pretty sure they wanted to move on from Kirk Cousins, but because of the Penix injury, they're together, at least for the foreseeable future. But I can't imagine Kirk Cousins. Are they?
Like they didn't. I mean, they didn't make the move. They didn't trade him. Yeah, right. In the end, it's like good job keeping him because we kind of known that Penix had these injuries. This history. I mean, he tore his ACL in the left knee twice. This one's on the right side, but it's like bro knees are on the same Bradford, path right now.
They went 5-3 with Kirk and 3-6 with Penix.
So that's the problem here, though, is right. Like Kirk Cousins is not going to help you bottom out. Like Kirk Cousins will keep you as a contender in a bad division, right? You had 3 teams finish 8-9. It's funny, the Falcons finished 8-9, and they had long since been out of the playoff race. Like they got hot at the wrong time.
If they don't lose to the Jets or if they don't lose to the Panthers twice, like they win that division.
Yeah. So, but here's the problem, right? Kirk Cousins keeps you competitive, which hurts your. Well, now they don't even have a first round pick because they traded it away. But like you're still in trouble potentially. You get like a mid-round pick next year if Kirk Cousins helps you, if Cousins and Penix get you back to 8-9 again. Maybe they should have moved on from Kirk Cousins. Maybe they should have just been flat out bad, because since we insist on having a draft that's based on teams being bad.
And we need that pick, man. We were in the top 10.
Because apparently after 50 some odd years, we can't figure out another way to do this thing. But anyway, abolish the draft. Anyway,
Marcus hates the draft.
It's dumb. It is a dumb idea that's made for television, but it doesn't actually solve the problem of creating like good teams.
I'm so glad I've seen the movie.
It just doesn't do anything to actually help teams get better. It just is a made for TV event that generates a lot of revenue for people that aren't us. So maybe they should have moved on from Kirk Cousins. I guess that's my long way of saying that.
Why don't they move on from both this offseason? Like, I'm going to throw a name out there. The first thing that came to mind was Kyler Murray, but I think an even more fun one, who will be more affordable, is Malik Willis. Like, I think Malik Willis could play at the NFL level, and I think he should get a chance to start. I don't know if this is the exact spot, but I'm just letting you guys know now. Every time we talk about a quarterback needy team, I'm going to mention Malik Willis this offseason.
Okay.
All right.
I'm glad we can prepare for it. That's all. I'm just glad we can get into there.
I just think he's better than most of the people not most, but better than a lot of the guys who keep getting multiple chances, you know?
Side note to all this Michael Penix talk, and I know that neither of you are necessarily huge college football fans, but do you think he celebrated Indiana's win last night simply because he left and went to Washington? Like, he left Indiana, went to Washington. Like, does he still get to claim that? Like, you didn't finish with us, bruh. You took off.
I think if that was his first school, right? That was his first school, and then he went to UW. Then yeah, you could still claim that. I mean,
all right.
Sometimes
I don't know
how
if
the cookie
I would.
crumbles.
I mean, like, they weren't very good when you were there, and then
Dude, they weren't very
you
good
were the problem.
They weren't very good for 150 years. Like, they weren't good for their entire existence, like, until this past year. But anyway, congratulations, though, to the Hoosiers for winning the national championship. Shout out to our coworker, Rhett Kleinschmidt, who is still in the Indiana record books as a receiver. And Rhett Lewis, I should call him by his
I was about to say,
name.
is that Rhett?
Rhett Lewis by his actual television name. He was Rhett Kleinschmidt when he played in Bloomington. And our pal, Drew Davenport, fantasy. Fantasy
Indiana now has the last undefeated college season in college basketball and football now.
Wow. That's wild. That's kind of wild. Huh, who would have thought? Other coaching news, the Tennessee Titans are close to locking up a deal, if they haven't already, with 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh, who, look, I think everybody concedes he got a raw deal with the Jets. But Florio, are the Titans that much better of a situation? I guess less dysfunctional?
Outside of the Bills and Ravens, who are obviously the top two for different reasons, I thought the Titans were the best landing spot in this. I'll take the Giants out of it as well because they have Dart and like a big market. But of the available openings still, I think the Titans were the best because you have Cam Ward, who I really believe in. You have the 4th overall pick. You have all of your picks in the early rounds of the rounds that matter. And then you have the most cap this offseason. So Robert Saleh has the opportunity to come in a lot like what Mike Vrabel did with the Patriots, right? Bring in your own guys because it's a lot different if you're like the Browns where you're strapped for money and stuff like that. Like he has the opportunity to completely revamp this roster. And I know they need a lot of talent, but if you put a O-line in front of Cam Ward, maybe give him a couple of pass catchers, and then you let Robert Saleh get in his bag, because the one thing about him is when he was with the Jets, their defense was still very, very good. It fell on its face once he left. And the 49ers, like, I know their defense was brutal this year, but everyone says like he did the most he could with what was at his disposal. So if he could get that defense competitive again, and then you build around Cam Ward, I'm not telling you they're going to be in the AFC Championship game next year, but I think it's possible that they could turn things around very quickly and be a competitive team next season.
How much, LaQuan, are you waiting on the OC hire, right? Like, so that feels like, at least for our purposes, for fantasy purposes, that feels like the big thing is who's going to be there calling plays, what they do in the draft. I mean, they got a ton of cap space. They have draft picks to work with, but, you know, we just need to know who's actually drawing them up in the dirt, right?
I mean, is Mike McDaniel still out there available? I know he and Saleh have this relationship. Why not make the Tennessee 49ers type of staff? I don't know. I put it like this. We know Saleh ain't going to be calling the offensive plays. Like, we know that Saleh's going to get this defense right. Like, he was able to bring the best out of the 49ers defense this year with just guys that were young, guys that were in the draft that, 5 picks in a row, you guys went straight defense. So all those players ended up being stud players showing up. So I look at the Titans defense where they've had their ups and downs moments in this season where they look like they were a defense that we can compare to the Raiders. And then at times we're like, oh, there's something here. So I look more of that offensive coordinator that comes in that's going to be drawing those plays up because like Florio said, we've seen some flashes from Cam Ward on the back end of the season. Like, okay, this guy can play the game. He just needs an O-line to be protected. I like a Elikayo Manor. I like a Sherman DK. Like, I like Chigakonku, Gunnar Helm. Like, they have certain pieces that are already in place where we started seeing flashes from these guys where we just need somebody to come in and tune it up and draw these plays up to where we can start grabbing some of these guys late in these fantasy drafts. Yeah.
You're right. They do have pieces. I mean, I was on DK as a sleeper several times this year. I was on Iron Man early in the season. Understanding that the ceiling wasn't super high, but there was some value to be mined there. So I would like for the offense to not be Cam Ward sprint out away from the pass rush and just heave it down the field. If we can get something a little more organized than that. I'm curious about this McDaniel thing because I feel like if I'm Mike McDaniel, I mean, I've been called for head coaching interviews, right?
Yeah.
Like for me to take an OC job, that feels like, okay, well, nothing else is going to happen.
Hey,
so
Saleh took a defensive coordinator job, reset, and next year he's a head coach. I mean, look, I feel like Mike McDaniel needs to take the humble pie right now. Take what you can because he cannot be coaching at all this season.
The difference is nobody was calling Saleh to be a head coach. Like people have called Mike McDaniel for head coaching interviews, at least.
You drag it out because you also might get the call to be the OC for Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. And that leads you quicker to being a head coach again. So I think if you're McDaniel, you take your time here. But there's a good possibility that he could end up the Titans OC, I think.
Not to mention that if somebody's going to fly me out and, buy me a nice dinner to have a chat, I'm not saying no to that.
There's a lot of coaches that I don't know if I love as a head coach, but I know I like as a coordinator. So it's going to be an interesting couple weeks.
We know he ain't going to be going to the Raiders, right? Ravens, Steelers, they're off the table. I mean,
McDaniel?
what other options does he have to be the head coach?
The Raiders
Browns?
seem pretty interesting.
I mean, Raiders, is he interested? Is he interested
I
going
mean,
there?
you get Fernando Mendoza, you get Genti, you get Bowers, you get the second most cap. Like I actually think the Raiders is much more appealing than it appears from the outside.
And letting him scheme up that run game with Ashton Genti. I mean, they need O-line help without a doubt.
And if things go south after the season he just had with the Dolphins and the Raiders are still bad, which we probably will see another bad product out there, he will be out of the door quicker and then he'll be completely out of talks of any head coaching job.
That's a him problem.
Yeah, like
Take the
that's
OC
not
job.
a me problem.
but in all seriousness,
Take
like,
the
you
OC
take
job.
the head coaching gig over an OC gig. Like you just do.
Yeah, you just do. I don't care where it is. There's 32 of those. I'm taking a head coaching job over an OC. I don't care. And
Unless it's to go to what Baltimore doesn't really sound interested. Maybe the Bills, maybe like then you could be like, all right, you pull up Ben Johnson. I'm gonna have a great season, and then I get to kind of pick. But otherwise, like I'd rather be the head coach of the Raiders than the OC of the Titans.
yeah, for sure.
Nah.
Yeah, no, I would too. I would rather be a head coach. I would rather because once you get in the carousel, it's hard to get out. It's hard to
Because
get
if the
out.
Titans come out swinging, let's say they make the playoffs, because we've seen coaches come through there, Brian Callahan, they've missed the playoffs year after year. Let's say they go to the playoffs. Let's say we get Cam Ward looking like Cam Ward that we expected as the first overall pick. Then Mike McDaniel in that next coaching cycle in the next year is going to be called up as a head coach. Instead, you want him to go to the Raiders?
But what if the Titans don't do that? What if they don't have the optimal season?
I mean, like the mystery box could be
Saleh
anything.
did it.
It could even be a head
Here we are
coaching
now.
job. Like, what are we doing?
A boat's a boat.
I mean, like, what are we doing? You're like,
I get it.
I'd argue the Raiders have more offensive talent than the Titans. Because they have the number one pick, right? So they're going to have both teams are going to have a number one pick quarterback. One team has Brock Bowers and Ashton Genti on it. The other has Alec Iomanner, you know?
Yo, put some respect on my boy,
No,
bro.
I'm not disrespecting
He's not Brock
him.
Bowers.
Not Brock
He's not
Bowers.
He's not Brock Bowers.
Put some respect on my boy, bro.
Anyway, speaking of Mike McDaniel, his formerly vacant head coaching job has now been filled. Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley has taken over, is going to take the job and be the next head coach down in Miami. I have no idea what to expect from Jeff Hafley as a head coach. But I was happy and excited to see Jeff Hafley get a job, to get an opportunity. Just because, and I've put this basically to you guys in our text chat, like it's so frustrating and boring hearing these same names just show up all the time, right? That, look at, I get it. In some cases, I get it, right? John Harbaugh was always going to get a job somewhere, right? I think Kevin Stefanski was always going to get a job somewhere.
I think I know who you're talking about.
I mean, but like seeing Mike McCarthy's name
There it
show
is.
up again, right? So this is part of my frustration. And this applies in football, but it applies across, I think, every spectrum of American life. We have somehow convinced ourselves that because a person or an entity is successful in one arena, that somehow that makes them smart and transfers over to other places. Most of your NFL owners did not make money in football. And as these teams start to get passed down and inherited and become legacy teams, right? Look at the Maras in New York, the Rooneys in Pittsburgh, Mark Davis in Las Vegas. These are people who have inherited their teams from other people. So they have maybe, I guess, sort of made their money in football, but that doesn't mean they have expertise in this. Just because you're smart at real estate or tech doesn't mean you're smart at football. And so what happens is the hype machine starts promoting some guys to these owners or these consulting firms, which, by the way, that seems like a really cushy gig. Let me just hand you a bunch of names that you can interview, right? So instead, we end up with the same retreads over and over again. It's just as frustrating. So like I'm happy to see a guy like Jeff Hafley, who wasn't getting a lot of buzz, getting in there, because, it's like agents feeding names to reporters that get pumped through the cycle. And then these same names keep showing up over and over again. I mean, that's how at some point Josh McDaniels' name was floating up again for head coaching jobs. Like, what are we doing? What is happening?
I don't want to give the other guy credit, but PFT did report over the weekend that
the other guy,
an anonymous head coach, apparently said it is the worst collection of 32 owners the NFL has ever had. And on NFL radio network radio on Sirius, I was listening to it yesterday. They were kind of explaining how a lot of these owners, like you said, Marcus, make their money in other areas, and then they come in here and they expect immediate success because they've always had success in business and stuff. And like, it's very different.
I mean, I like comic books and I own a bunch of them. I can't draw. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, loving a thing does not make you good at that thing. Like, just, I had to get that off my chest.
Understood.
So, the Dolphins hired Jeff Hafley. Tua, I don't know, not much longer. They're aside from Devon Achane.
Malik Willis.
Aside from Devon Achane and maybe Jalen Waddle, anything of interest for either of you guys in Miami right now?
Darren Waller.
Does he come back? I was like, does he come back?
They want him back. I mean, he was there at the scene of the crime when Mike McDaniel was fired.
Mike McDaniel wanted him back.
But no, he said Stephen Ross wanted him back. He said that's what he said to him. So I think they do want him back. I mean, honestly, if he's healthy, why not? I mean, we were all just kind of surprised about, what he was putting out there for fantasy. So I don't know. I think Darren Waller becomes an interest. I think, honestly, Waddle's still in that, mixture of a wide receiver 2-ish, maybe a wide receiver 1, because we're probably not going to see Tyreek Hill for a very long time. Like, he's on that Tank Dell type of expectation back in time of that injury. And plus, this guy's in his 30s. Like, your body acts different when you're 30, so.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, obviously, when he's healthy, there's going to be interest in Tyreek Hill, but yeah, this feels like we're heading towards sort of an Odell Beckham type ending.
Yes. Right? DeAndre Hopkins, like, he's going to enter the NFL retirement home. Because, like, I text Cam Wolf the other day. I'm like, what is the expectations on Tyreek Hill? And he just was like, I don't know if he's going to be in the plans. He's got some time to return. Yeah, and like, we've already seen this decline. So it's to the point now we kind of have to just face reality of, like, we've seen the best of Tyreek Hill. Like, it's the past now. Like, it's in the decline right now.
Speed is the first thing to go.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. And like, without that speed, he's not anything close to the same receiver.
No longer the identity of the Dolphins now. So it's Jeff Hafley,
and that's
Big Jersey.
The thing. Like, we need to see who the play caller is going to be. But as of right now, I'm probably going to be a lot lower on the Dolphins than consent. I'm typically lower on Jalen Waddle most years anyway, but that's because of Tyreek Hill and stuff. But yeah, like, so much of of them generating these pass looks for Achane and stuff was because of Mike McDaniel's system. So we got to see who the new play caller is, but I don't know if it's going to be as effective as it has been under Mike, because I still believe Mike McDaniel is a great offensive mind.
No, I think he is too. I just don't know that he's head coach material. I think he's a good play caller. He's a good OC. I think that might be it, at least for now. Speaking of offensive coordinators, some OC news. The Chiefs, because time is a flat circle, plan to bring back Eric Bieniemy as the next offensive coordinator. I mean, this is a guy who went from everybody wondering how he can't get a head coaching job to being the offensive coordinator at UCLA for a year, then being a running backs coach with the Raiders, or the Bears, rather. I'm sorry. I don't know, guys. I don't know that this changes anything for me, because, like, I feel like the OC in Kansas City is sort of a ceremonial position. It's Andy Reid that does the stuff.
You know what's going to happen, right? You're going to hear like the deep ball was at its best when Eric Bieniemy was there, but it's more the personnel. And that's going to matter more than anything is who the Chiefs bring in. Because I think Kelsey's gone. We don't know what Rashee Rice is going to be able to do this season. So, like, they need to add Xavier Worthy he gets a pass, but, like, he's been really bad since he's gotten there. So, like, they need to add more. So that's going to determine a lot more to me than Bieniemy helping Andy Reid draw plays.
Yeah. And then the Lions hired Drew Petzing as their new offensive coordinator. Now, LaQuan, you've been pretty critical of Drew Petzing, but you seemed excited for what this means for Sam Laporta next year.
Yeah, because I text you guys, man, because like when this hire happened, like I kind of was just watching the Fantasy Streets react, and obviously they reacted normally how they always react and overreact. So it was more so like, oh, Amon-Ra's done. Oh my God, the Lions are so stupid. Da, da, da. Like Drew Petzing ain't coming in to invent the wheel. Like he's coming in to be the offensive coordinator to stabilize his offense. Like Sam Laporta definitely becomes back on the table of that top 5. Like, I'm ready to redo my top 5 tight ends that we just did like 2 weeks ago. Like, I'm looking at this hire as like, this is quietly elite for Amon-Ra, operating out of the slot, doing everything on versatility that he has. I think Drew Petzing is coming into a situation that he can't fail unless you're John Morton, which clearly he didn't have that much experience calling plays. But Drew Petzing was able to get career highs from Jacoby Brissett, from Trey McBride, from Michael Wilson. These are all players that were staples of that offense this season that were showing and proving that his system works with the right quarterback. Yes, they were losing games. They were playing from behind. It was garbage time. But at the end of the day, he was able to get this offense to click at times, to go out there and put up a fight. In the games that Jacoby Brissett was throwing for 300 plus yards, they were losing by 3 points. So it's looking at this as a lateral move for him as an offensive coordinator, but he's coming in with upgraded pieces, in my opinion.
So basically, he just needs a quarterback to just de-gaffs, just doesn't give a bleep.
As much as I love Jacoby Brissett, and I was watching him very closely, it is a lot easier to throw when you're down 3 scores and everyone's playing soft coverage, you know, like.
But it's also easier to throw when you have a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs that has, defense is terrified too. So I also maybe this.
I want Dan Campbell to remain highly, highly involved in the play calling, though.
And then we don't get David Montgomery.
And I am not one who's out here looking for social media engagement, generally, for better or worse. I don't know, but I'm also like, we don't have to have instant reaction to all of these. Like we can let it breathe. We can just acknowledge, hey, Drew Petzing is now in Detroit. All right, let me take some time and gather my thoughts before I just start firing off that it's the death knell for this player or that player. I mean, I know that'll never happen because,
it's Twitter, man.
We need clicks.
The fantasy streets are Twitter when I talk about it.
We need clicks and we have to feed Elon's beast or whatever. But, we don't have to do that. We can all be better. I want better for us. That's what I want in 2026. I want better for us.
You know what it does mean, though? Probably a lot of passes to Jahmyr Gibbs. James Conner was racking up catches in Arizona.
That wouldn't suck. At all.
That's why I'm like, where's this coming from? Like, I have no idea why this is the death knell for all their star-studded players. Like, it never makes sense, but that's the fantasy streets. But go on, Marcus.
All right, so diving into the divisional round of games, starting, we'll just rip the Band-Aid off for you here, Florio. Broncos 33, Bills 30 in overtime. A couple of big headlines coming out of the game. One that certainly shocked everybody immediately afterwards, finding out that Bo Nix broke his ankle in that game. He is gone for the rest of the season, so suddenly Jarrett Stidham has become important at work, and it might end up ruining his life. He really is. He's the guy. He's the guy with the beer on the couch, just pointing at himself, like, "Hell, me? What?
Me?"
But in reality, LaQuan, is this really a major downgrade? I mean, I know it's a downgrade from Bo Nix, but this is a team that really is built on defense. I mean, maybe this isn't as bleak as it seems at first glance.
Like, if you ask Sean Payton, he has full confidence in him. Like, I think we forget that it was like one of the decisions that he made to bring on Stidham, like before Bo was even drafted. Like, there was even conversation that, if we remember during the draft, like Jarrett Stidham might be the starter week 1. Like, he has full confidence in him. And like, I do think we haven't seen enough from Jarrett Stidham, so the immediate reaction is like all we have is preseason clips of this year of him playing. But I think him being in that QB room, him having the confidence coming from Sean Payton, that we should expect Jarrett Stidham to at least come in to be serviceable. Like, I don't think he's going to have those wowing moments that Bo gives us. I don't think he's going to be as mobile out of the pocket, even though we've seen him, he can move around and make quicker decisions. Like, I don't think he's going to go out there rushing for like 20 plus yards. Like, I think it's more so he's going to be looking for the check down just to be a serviceable quarterback. So that's as much expectations I have for him moving into this next round. It's a very important game. Like you said, this could ruin his life. But at the end of the day, if Sean Payton feels as though that he has the high football IQ that he has praised this guy ever since we've gotten the news for Bo Nix in the injury. So it's like we kind of have to throw our hands up and see what Sean Payton draws up for him. Yeah.
I mean, I think they're going to try to keep it as simple as possible. And again, it's just the defense is what I think has to win the game for Denver. We'll see. We'll definitely dive into it more on Thursday's show. But obviously it was a big thing that sort of turned everybody's head when we all found out that information. The postmortem with the Bills begins with them firing head coach Sean McDermott after 9 seasons. Florio, I know that you had said repeatedly, I don't know if you said it on the show, but you certainly said it to us all privately, that if the Bills fell short again, that they were going to have to fire McDermott. And apparently Terry Pagula agrees. Now, Brandon Beane gets to keep his gig.
Got promoted.
Which again,
is wrong.
Back to our conversation in the first segment about owners and not, look, maybe being good at one thing and not at the other. Like, the Bills are doing the same thing that the Giants are, right? Where you're cleaning house and you're bringing in new coaches, but you're keeping the same general manager who's in charge of all the player personnel that wasn't really good enough in the first place. I don't understand it, but whatever. So that being said, Florio, who would you like to see as your next head coach?
I do want to give I've been critical of McDermott because I believe that you only get so many bites at the apple. And when you have what I would say is an all-time talent in Josh Allen, you need to have more success, and you can't give up 31 points per game in your playoff losses. But I actually think this year was one of his best coaching jobs since he got to Buffalo, because the roster was super thin. So thin to the fact that we could pinpoint the exact, that meme where it's like the small domino and at the end it's like, it's like you push the little small domino of claim Darius Slay off of waivers, and the big one is Dane Jackson gets torched for a game losing touchdown. Like that is the cycle of events that led the Bills to where they're at. Also, don't get me started on the refs. But who do I want? There's no clear-cut candidate where I'm like, this guy is the slam dunk. That's why I thought last year was the year, because Ben Johnson was the slam dunk. And no disrespect to Chicago, I think if you were like, hey, come work with Josh Allen, that might have lured Ben away. But there's combinations that I like. I think the big issue with the Bills, and they're trying to point it as saying it was like a McDermott issue, they always brought in high character guys, right? Like guys who are good for the community and stuff like that. You need some dogs too, though. And the Bills never had a guy like that who strikes fear into the heart of opposing offensive players. So I think Brian Flores could be someone that comes in and gets that defense to what it needs to be. But I think you pair him. My dream pairing is Brian Flores and Brian Dable, and just two psychos to let's see what they could do together. But Mike McDaniel comes to mind as one. Like to me, there's no perfect candidate, but there's really good duos you could make. Like Mike Tomlin in one of these offensive minds makes sense too. But yeah, I don't want it to be Joe Brady. I'll put that on record right now.
Damn, what Joe do?
I love that we're out here handcuffing coaches. Like it was a backfield or something, Yeah.
That's the only way. And what did Joe do? He could scheme up a run game. He can't really scheme up downfield. And more than anything, you're running the same attack out there then, minus its head, and who knows what the defense will look like. I don't know if that's the best route to go here.
So that being said, right, obviously Josh Allen is an attractive opportunity for any coach, right?
Yeah.
To come in and be able to work with him. But LQ, you've pointed this out before, and it was a problem over the weekend. Turnovers are something that, to some point, you kind of have to live with them with Josh Allen because of that's just the style that he plays. But will the new head coach or offensive coordinator have to sort of rein him in? And is it possible? I mean, Josh being Superman has gotten the Bills this far. Do you take his cape off and do you risk maybe sort of upsetting everything if he can't just be who he is?
The turnovers are definitely a problem. And I think whoever comes in will definitely have to reel it in. Like, all right, chill now. You don't have to put the cape on. You don't have to do silly things. You don't have to run in open space with one hand on the ball and you throw it back 20 yards. Like, this is the thing that bothers me is that Josh doesn't really have the pieces around him where he doesn't have to put his cape on. Like, at least when Diggs was there, we could say, okay, this is Batman and Robin. This is Superman and Batman. Like, and you have two pieces of this offense, and now you add in a run game. But now we have Brandon Cooks as your big, deep threat. You have Khalil Shakir, who is your slot wide receiver. Not to throw any shade to Shakir, because I'm a huge fan for him. But at the end of the day, he shouldn't be your one. Like, he shouldn't be the guy that Josh has to constantly look to. He should have multiple pieces around him. He is a top tier elite quarterback. He is now at his peak climax. We're near the falling action right now. This boy will be 30 next year. It gets harder. Your body changes as soon as you turn 30. So whoever comes in, you have to reel him in to play more conservative, to not sit there and put that cape on every single game. And these games are coming down to the turnovers.
I'm going to push back because Josh Allen had one of the cleanest seasons ever in 2024. Like, historically, one of the least negative plays we've ever seen a quarterback make. I think the issue is what you were saying. Like, think about this Denver game, right? You're cruising. You're potentially going to go up 2 scores, and your best, most reliable playmaker puts the ball on the ground. Now you find yourself down a touchdown. And I do think that fumble at the end of the half was like 2018 rookie year Josh Allen. But it's something I've said a lot throughout this season. Is a lot of the time it feels like Josh is pressing because he knows if he doesn't make a play, no one is going to. So, and then to talk about 4 turnovers is bad, right? One of them was a blindside strip sack. That's not really on him, I would say. It happened very quickly. The O-line got blown up. The other one, I will die that if Devontae Adams caught it, if Hutchinson caught it, Brandon Cooks caught it.
Out.
It's all the same play, right? Like, I know people are saying he made a football move. No, you can't. You have to do more than just put your 2 feet on the ground for it to be a football move. And Brandon Cook's 2 feet were on the ground. So the inconsistencies aside, like, Brandon Cook should have caught that. It was in his hands. So that I don't put on Josh either. Like, to me, yes, he does. I think the new coach needs to rein him in, but we've seen him already rein it in. So I don't really worry as much about that. I look at this team and I'm like, if you put literally any other quarterback with this group of weapons, I don't think they make it as far as they did, which is why I wanted Brandon Beane gone as well. But he legitimately talks to the owner daily, and that's why he got a promotion.
My thing is what you said, though, is like, Beane is in charge of putting the pieces in place. The cap is what, negative 11 million? That's part of his job, right? And this is the product you have out there. Like, I don't understand how that.
Player, Dawson Knox. 6th highest paid player, Curtis Samuel. Josh Palmer's a top 10 highest paid player. They couldn't get on the field. Like, it's just bad. And also, 4 crucial plays at the end of the game by the refs. All 4 went one way. Like, that was, if it was pass interference on Cortland Sutton in overtime, it was pass interference on Brandon Cooks in the 4th quarter.
You guys were holding, though, man. Like, you seen those clips? Like, you guys were holding.
Yes. Everybody holds on every play. There's holding on every play.
These were bad. That was a safety, my boy. Like, that was
the Broncos defense, the most penalized physical defense in the NFL, did not have a single flag on them in 5 quarters.
Clean football, man. Playoffs.
All I know is that, next year after you guys draft Mekhi Lemon, things will be better. That's it.
Ooh. I'm just saying, man, Riley Moss running down with his hand on Cook's shoulder, pulling him back. They don't throw it, but then Teron Johnson does the same thing. He gets flagged. Look, the Bills are not without. They did everything they could to put the hands in the refs. The game.
I mean, the Seahawks did the same thing to Tutu. We ain't ever going to get that call. But I do feel like the Riley Moss one was clear as day, though.
But my thing is, to be a good official, you don't need to call every call. You need to be consistent. and they weren't consistent at the end of that game.
That's fair. Okay, let's move on because
I can go all day about this.
I can go all day, and I just don't want, I don't want you to have to live this. I know you have other things to do where you have to talk about this later on. I got numerous shows I got to do about this. So, I just want to minimize your pain here, so we'll move on.
I appreciate that.
Patriots 28, Texans 16. Florio, is CJ Stroud actually #good?
No. I don't think he's terrible, but I think his rookie year overinflates him a whole lot. And that rookie year was just off the charts efficient on the deep ball. We haven't seen that again, which I'm not saying it's going to happen to Drake May, but Drake May is also having a season where it's like off the chart efficiency on the deep ball. Regression does tend to come, but like CJ Stroud, I think they've done him a lot of disservice by giving him a worse O-line year in and year out. And this is someone who clearly struggles under pressure. But yeah, I remember in the middle of the year on game day preview on Sundays, I was like, I think we need to have a CJ Stroud conversation. And everyone was like, whoa, like, no. And when you have a defense as good as Houston, all you need your offense to do is not give them the opposing team points in short fields. And CJ Stroud was on a mission to turn the ball over, it felt like, every single time he touched it in both playoff games.
I was going to say both of them, right? Because he apparently was sweating Crisco in the game against the Steelers. Just could not hold on to the football for whatever reason. And then on was it Sunday, against the Patriots, just kept throwing the ball to the wrong team, just over and over and over again.
Hit a Nate Peterman first half.
I'm with you. He's not terrible, but he's definitely not the guy that we were talking about after that first half of his rookie season. And there are a lot of factors at play, but some of it is just CJ Stroud making poor decisions or making poor throws. So yeah, help is needed, but also he needs to sort of, I don't know, evaluate himself. I saw a lot of people pointing out that it sort of started to go wrong when he basically sunned Caleb Williams. Right? Remember that? Their rookie year?
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? When he was like, kind of gave him a little pat on the chest, like, hey, keep your head up sort of thing.
It went viral again. It always goes viral with Bills fans. But after his rookie year, he was on a pod and he was like, the top 5 quarterbacks, it's Mahomes, Lamar, me. And everyone's like, oh,
he put himself
you're
third.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I saw a lot of that too. LaQuan, is Houston's RB1 currently on the roster and healthy? I had to include the healthy part, because there's a guy who would qualify as such, but he's not healthy. So is that player currently there?
No, he is not. I like Woody Marks, and I think Nick Chubb was serviceable this year. He looked good at times, fighting for those hard yards, the ugly runs. I do feel like at the end of the day, they need somebody that can be their workhorse, because Woody Marks to me is like a 1B situation. Like he could show up at times. He's trying to pump his chest with the durability, but we've seen him leave games early, come back, leave again. Like weekly. I do think that they need weekly. Yeah, exactly. Like I think they need that workhorse, and I think they probably draft one or maybe hit free agency. I would like to see Breece Hall in Houston, right? He can run, he can catch. It's everything that Joe Mixon was, when he was healthy back in their first year. So I do think make additions to the O-line, get yourself a workhorse running back. I just don't think that they currently have that right now. Like there has to be offseason adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. And again, you know how I feel about Woody Marks. Love the dude, but he's not. Yeah, I mean, USC, fight on forever, but he's not the guy. He's not built to be the guy. Although I still do think the Texans could have worked harder to get him involved in the passing game, just because, again, that was a thing that was his calling card.
Weird.
It was his calling card in college.
Nick Haley, right? What are you doing?
I mean, whether it was at Mississippi State or USC, the dude just caught the football in both stops, and they just really didn't utilize that part of his game. So maybe that's something they've got to look at in the offseason. But I'm kind of with you. I mean, Nick Chubb is, nearing the end. I think that, Woody Marks is fine, but he's not going to be your guy. He's not going to be a guy that you trust to give 200 touches. I guess what he had 220 this year, so 250 touches, I guess. I don't even know that 200 might actually be the cap on what you want to give Woody Marks.
Exactly.
So. Two more games to dive into over the weekend. The Seahawks absolutely thumped the 49ers, 41-6, the final score. So here's the thing. LaQuan, you were fairly quiet in the text chat this weekend, and I figured you were cooking something up. So, like, would you like to speak? I'm giving you the floor here.
No. I'm letting my actions speak for themselves. The 49ers have been in my DMs this entire weekend, the last week and a half. Like, you guys lost. And you guys are still barking outside. Like, I just don't get you guys, but I'll leave that to the internets and stuff. But I have nothing to say. It played out exactly how I said it was going to play out. You guys don't belong here.
So you've never chattered after the Rams lost, huh? You've never just you just when the Rams lose, you just fade into the background all the time quietly, huh?
Because we lost in gut punching ways. It came down to missed calls. Referees just making up rules on the fly. I don't want to get into that bag because we respect the referees and how they called the game. But at the end of the day, our losses, we have at least shown that we could still have that fight or we beat ourselves. We're not a team that faces a bunch of scrub teams all season long and then squeak their way into the playoffs. And then, here we are with a real team in front of us. It's BTA. So again, I have nothing to say about the 49ers.
Look, y'all lost to their backup. So
it's Kyle Shanahan. I always give a nod.
Shanahan. Okay.
But Kyron fumbled on the one, and then we gave them opportunity to win the game. So therefore, beat ourselves. That's how we lost to their backups. It wasn't they came out there and we couldn't get anything done on offense or they were ripping our defense apart. It's because we beat ourselves. That's just usually
I remember
how it
Kendrick
ends.
Bourne just running up and down the field on you.
Oh, my God. And again, I understand that, but we beat ourselves.
So here's the thing. I did not have high hopes for this weekend.
Nope.
I thought with what the Niners did, like that team as it went along probably shouldn't have won 12 games. They should not have been in a position to maybe win the division, possibly be the 1 seed. They overachieved this year. And so what happened on Saturday? Not great, not fun. At 27-6, I flipped over, started watching Rush Hour 2 because
nice.
I want to see somebody get their ass whooped. I was rather it be Ricky Tan than Ricky Pearsall. So that's kind of what I decided. It is what it is. But on the whole, like as a fan, the ending was disappointing. I can't really be too upset about the way the season went, all things considered. I do think job number one for the 49ers is to find a new practice facility. Just somewhere that's not near a power plant, an electrical substation. Let's just start there. And then let's build from there. Before we get into this, though, something of note, Zach Charbonnet did tear his ACL in that game. So he is done for the rest of the playoffs. And because it happened so late, I mean, he's probably effectively done for a good chunk of next season as well. So we'll see how that goes. I guess that's good news, question mark, for Kenneth Walker. But
who's a free agent?
Yeah, that's a question.
If I'm him, I'm leaving. If I'm him, I'm leaving. Y'all did me dirty. You've seen him be a workhorse and explode in 2 games now, right? Like, come on.
Yeah, except, some of his problems were self-inflicted.
Health. Yes.
So it kind of goes both ways. So I'm gonna ask you this, LaQuan. Is Brock Purdy a fantasy QB1 next season?
Yeah, why would you ask me this, man?
You know I asked you this.
Yes, Turdy can be a QB1, okay?
I don't know who Turdy is. Can Brock Purdy be
Brock can be a QB1 next year, okay? Yes, as long as Kyle Shanahan is as the head coach, he's going to put his guys in the right place of success, right? I know you got Clay QB out there, but he's getting interviews for a head coaching job, but it just seems it does not matter whoever is the offensive coordinator. It's Kyle's way, okay? I think he should get coach of the year, but I think Brock next year showing that he can really work with anybody. Like, I'm still surprised DeMarcus Robinson had the back end of the season he's had, or even a Kendrick Bourne. Like, again, where's Ricky Pearsall? We don't know, probably in the blue medical tent, but when he's healthy, we could see that he could be serviceable as well. So I do think Brock doesn't really need like the star-studded wide receivers. I think George Kittle, we're going to have to see what he is when he comes back. But again, it's Kyle and Brock's show, man. Like, it doesn't matter who's out there. I think we can start looking at him as that QB that we were looking at Jared Goff, or how we're going to be looking at Caleb Williams next year. Like, he's in that top 10 conversation for sure.
You mentioned George Kittle, and he said recently that he thinks he can be back before November. You guys are going to both be surprised to find out that the surgery was successful. He said, here's the quote. He says, surgery went really, really good. Dr. Neil Elatrash said, best case scenario when you tear an Achilles is that you tear it up high by your soleus, which is what I did. I had a clean tear. They didn't have to drill into my heel, and where the repair was, there's more blood flow, so it takes some time off the recovery. It's not as bad as other ones. I will have to take his word for it. I am not a medical doctor. I've never even played one on TV. I never stayed at Holiday Inn Express last night. But we will see whether or not he's back. Because, we sat around here, we talked about our top 5 tight end rankings. Obviously, no Kittle shakes that up quite a bit. But if he really thinks he can be back before November, kind of becomes a late round dart throw draftable asset, especially if you have an IR spot in your league. So I think that's worth kind of mentioning. Florio, LaQuan did mention Ricky Pearsall. When he has been available, he's been a pretty good player. The availability has been the issue for him. What is the ceiling on him next year? Like, where would you be willing to take him? Is he wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2? What are you thinking?
As of today, I think he is kind of in the range of where he was going last year, which is that wide receiver 3 territory. But I do think he has the possibility of really, once again, like last summer, catching helium and just starting to get pulled up and up and up as we get closer to drafts. Because Kittle, as much as he wants to say, right, like he's not even November being best case scenario. That's 2 months into the season. Is Jawan Jennings going to be back? What is their receiver room going to look like? I think it's going to look a whole lot different. And it might be there is a world where I think we could sell ourselves as Ricky Pearsall being the top wide receiver target coming into next season for the 49ers. And like you said, he's shown flashes, obviously the injury concerns. And look, this year was kind of a lost season for him. I'm not going to hold the rookie here against him because getting shot doesn't make you injury prone. But this year was problematic. But look, I really like Pearsall as a fit for Kyle Shanahan. I have since they drafted him. So I still think there's a lot of upside there, and there could be a lot of targets up for grabs. But the 49ers pass catching, and Marcus, you could talk about this better, but it's probably going to look a whole lot different in September than it does right now in January.
Absolutely. No, it absolutely will. I mean, obviously, they're waiting on Kittle. That's going to be the big piece. You mentioned Jawan Jennings is a free agent, and he, at least before the season, didn't seem like he was completely happy. Brandon Ayuk has been in the phantom realm the whole season this year. And
what is he doing?
I don't know. And it's wild because somebody pointed this out. Like, if I'm Brandon Ayuk, I'm kicking myself a little bit because I look around at what the wide receiver core was, and I'm like, I could be eating this year. Right?
Yeah, I could be the guy. What are you doing? I could be the guy.
They're out here trying to make it work with Kendrick Bourne and DeMarcus Robinson, right? I mean, at some point, they're running plays for Sky Moore, right? If I'm Brandon Ayuk, I'm like, I could be eating this year. But for whatever reason, he decided to, lock himself in a closet and just, cry in the car or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's going to look really, really different. That, I think, is priority 1 for the Niners this offseason, is figure out their pass catching situation. I think defensively, it's mostly just getting healthy and not practicing next to, a hydroelectric plant or whatever it was they were doing. I think that solves the defensive side of things a lot. Maybe they go out and add a piece or two, but finding.
You want Joey Bosa? You could take. You would gladly take him.
No, we have one Bosa. That's enough. We have one Bosa who already shows up half the time anyway. We don't really need another one, but thanks.
He's a part-timer.
Rams, a thrilling 20-17 overtime win over the Bears. I know you guys have heard me talk about how my wife watches sports, and like when it's a team that she cheers for, she gets freaked out when things start to go bad. So she is a Rams fan. Mostly because we live in Los Angeles. Like, she grew up in Northern California. If we still lived up there, she wouldn't be able to live in LA. We know 2 of their 4 fans.
Florio. Come on, bro.
He said it, not me.
Really?
But so the whole week she was nervous. She's like, it's going to be terrible weather. The Rams are going to lose. And I'm like, I think they're going to win, whatever. But it was obviously close back and forth that she was like freaking out the whole time. And then on the Caleb throw, the run around, throw a touchdown to Cole Kmet, she paused it and she's like, it's over. We're going to lose. And I'm like, you don't know that. Like, it's probably going to go to overtime. And so she made me leave the room. Like, I'm going to go somewhere else and watch it. She's like, well, don't. She's like, turn the volume down and don't react to. Turn the volume down and don't react to anything. I'm like, all right. So I just sat there, like, just watching the game, like, enjoying myself, having a good time. As somebody who was a neutral observer, it was an entertaining game to watch. So then finally, when Mevis kicks the field goal and the Rams win, I was just like, Rams win. She's like, are you kidding me? I'm like, no, I'm not kidding you. And so then she watched overtime. She like unpaused the television and watched overtime and watched the rest of it. I was like,
I love that.
Enjoy. Anyway, that being said, looking at the Bears side of things. Florio, you've talked about Caleb and the variance in his week-to-week performances, right? Like the ceiling is high and absolutely week winning. The floor is low and can crush you on any given week. But we're also prisoners of the last thing we saw from a player. So how much are we going to overdraft Caleb Williams after what he did in the playoffs?
I will say I've seen Adam Rank already kind of fighting battles, calling for Bear regressions next season and stuff like that, because they overperformed a little bit, but I don't even know if it's going to be the playoffs, because I personally feel like the playoffs largely get forgotten like once we get to the draft. And what I think it's going to be more of is people are going to be like, Caleb finished as a top 6 fantasy quarterback, and they're going to forget the week-to-week variance and how boom or bust he kind of was. But to me, and I know I say this kind of yearly with quarterbacks, but I look at it, right? Like to me, there's a top tier of Allen, Lamar. I think you could put Joe Burrow in there, Drake May. I still have Jaden Daniels in that group. Then there's like Hurts and Dart, who are, I think, going to be top 7 ranked quarterbacks coming into next season. And then there's a huge blob with names like Herbert, Dak, Lawrence, Purdy, Caleb, Stafford, Nix, Love, Goff. Like it to me, that is a big tier, and people are going to put them in whichever order they want. But like they all kind of are very similar in the sense of they all could finish top 12. I don't think really any of them could finish top 2 or 3 because they don't run enough and stuff. But so to me, that's kind of the tier where I think Caleb's going to live in. Some people might have him QB 8. Some people might have him QB 13. Nothing like that would surprise me.
Yeah, I really do hope though that we have been able to sort of, I guess, look at the big picture with guys. And I say that you talk about people like ignoring the playoffs. I remember after the Joe Flacco 2012 playoff run, right? He throws 11 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Ravens win the Super Bowl. I remember like the next season sort of telling people, hey, like don't get too caught up in what that playoff run was. It was amazing, but that's just not who Joe Flacco is. And at the time, now granted that was 14 years ago, a lifetime ago, I got a lot of pushback. People were like, you're crazy. And I'm like, no, man, like, like even that season, he threw 22 touchdown passes, had 10 picks. The next year, he threw 19 touchdowns and had 22 interceptions, right? Like, don't get too hung up on the playoff run. Like, those throws Caleb made, that one he made against the Packers on 4th down, the one he made to get the game to overtime against the Rams were incredible plays, incredible throws. And he has the ability to do that on occasion. I'm looking for the consistency. That's what we haven't seen from Caleb. I think he's prepared. I think he's ready to make the leap. I said he was going to go for 4,000 yards this year. He came up just short. I'll double down and say it happens next year. Like I'm willing to go out and make that proclamation. I just need the week-to-week consistency.
Can I just read something to you guys real quick that I just saw pop up? We were talking about coaches and stuff like that. Giants GM Joe Sheen says him and Harbaugh will work collaboratively, with Harbaugh having the final say just being something it says on paper.
Okay. I mean, they already admitted that John Harbaugh is going to report directly to ownership. Right? Like
that's how it was with McDermott and Bean. How could that go wrong, you know?
I mean, that's them telling Joe Shane, hey man, just be happy you still have keys to the building.
Like, bro, you let walk.
That's what this is.
You
Just
let
be
Daniel
happy.
Jones go out there and have success in Indy.
Not only did
Bro,
you let
are you
Saquon
speaking?
walk, you let Saquon walk to your biggest rivals, who then went to win
And
a
won the
Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Won the
Bro,
Super
records
Bowl.
on you. Bro,
Like,
are you speaking right now? Are you sure?
That's it.
Wow. He should mute up. Mute up.
Back
bro.
to the Bears real quick. Look, before we wrap this one up, what is too early for Colston Loveland next year?
Ooh, because we have him in our top 5. I think all consensus between 3 of us, we had him in the top 5, right? Like, am I wrong? There's somebody.
I think so. No, I think he was.
I got him at 5. So if we're going to be honest with ourselves, like, I do think that he starts to get pushed up. I do think that folks will start getting really excited with the training camp videos and all the buzz. And we already seen the Cole Kmet stands kind of just get buried. Like, I feel like it's transferring to Colston Loveland. Like, I don't want to get too crazy. So I think too high to me is in the top 3 rounds. Like, I'm okay taking him in the 4th and 5th. And with that being said, that's kind of like the area where you should already establish like your main staples in your wide receiver and running backs, right? Or even if you want to take a quarterback that early, I don't know. But 4, 5, 6 is kind of where I think he should live, because again, the inconsistency with Caleb, the games that he kind of disappears, where I don't even think Colston Loveland had like a huge game in the playoffs where we can sit there and push him up and say, hey, this is going to be a top 3, tight end where we could take him in the top 3 rounds.
Do we have a first round tight end this year, Florio? Is there one?
I mean, it would be in the draft or like
Just in
fantasy.
in this year when we start drafting, is there anybody that you think is going to get
Trey
pulled up to the
McBride,
first
I would
round?
not be surprised if he ends up in that range, depending on who's going to be the quarterback and stuff like that. But we have 2 years in a row where Trey McBride has put up top 5 wide receiver numbers, and you get it at the thinnest position. So I'm not going to knock that. Brock Bowers to me feels like a 2nd round, 3rd round guy. I'll be honest, there's not another tight end I would take until round 5. And like, I'm cool with making Colston Loveland the tight end 3 if that's how you want to rank it and stuff, but I'm not taking him in the 3rd or 4th round. To me, like, that just feels like wish casting and leaving high end proven talent at other positions there. So maybe my tune completely changes by August. We got 9 months to figure this all out, but as of today, even like Tucker Kraft, who I really like as a player, like, to me, if I'm not getting a Bowers or a McBride, I'm probably waiting until the middle rounds to take a tight end.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I think I was thinking like before. I'm with you, LaQuan. I wouldn't do it before the 3rd round. 4th or 5th feels a little more reasonable.
I can understand it. I wouldn't personally take him in the 4th, like that 5, 6 area, maybe. Like that's where I think he should live. But of course, the fantasy streets are going to do the opposite. We'll see.
And all it takes is one, right? One person to just to draft him early, and suddenly then people are like, oh well, crap! If that's where he's going, then I got to make the move, and that's how.
Some home leagues, you might get the Trey McBride, you might get the Bowers in the first 2 rounds, and then folks tend to follow those trends. Like, I've been in plenty of leagues where I've seen the tight end run go crazy, where folks start to panic, like, oh my God, I got to get a tight end, and then here we are with Colston Loveland going in the back in the 2nd round.
And that's what happens when there's like 5 guys maybe that you feel confident with, right?
Yeah.
2 of them go, and everybody else freaks out, and then that's the rest of them gone.
Yeah. Tucker Kraft, I am targeting. Like, that's going to be my tight end this year. That I know is going to fall. I know he's going to fall.
I don't think he's going to fall.
Well, he's going to fall outside the top 5. I would say the top 5.
He's already
tight ends
ranked as a top 5 tight end in early rankings.
for us, but folks are
No,
going to
like
forget.
consensus.
Oh.
I pulled up consensus right now, and he's, he's
okay.
tight end 5.
Where's
Look.
Laporta? Because he's another one.
7.
That's going to
see.
go up. I think that goes up.
Like, this consensus has Colston Loveland in tier 1 with McBride, and I'm using Fantasy Pros consensus right now, but it has Loveland in the same tier as McBride and Bowers. That is just crazy to me.
No.
But that's
No.
scarcity. That's because of who's not there, right? Because
I'll wait. I'll take a Dalton Kincaid, a Jake Ferguson, Gadsden. Like, if I could get those guys rounds later, I'd rather do that personally.
yeah.
I'll take a rookie who falls into a tight end friendly offense. Let's just put it that way. I'm not doing it.
We going blonde 3 years in a row? We aiming for blonde 3 years in a row?
I need to
Isaiah
know who I'm
Likely
going to.
when he's the Giant starter next year.
Yeah. We'll have plenty of time, of course, to dive into all this. We got plenty of off season to get into, but back on Thursday with you as we will preview the championship games in the NFC and the AFC. I'm sure we'll probably have some more coaching news too that happens between now and then as well. But in the meantime, that'll do it for this edition of the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. Stay happy, safe, and healthy. Do good and live well. Enjoy your green tea and your robes. We'll talk to you again on Thursday.